How Harrison Ford's Thunderbolt Ross becomes Red Hulk. Explained. After years of clamor from Marvel fans, Red Hulk has arrived in the MCU, courtesy of Captain America, Brave New World. Harrison Ford stepped into the shoes of the sadly departed William Hurt for the recast role as Thunderbolt Ross, and Marvel finally pulled the trigger on one of the most popular Hulk villains of all time. Whether you agree that Red Hulk should ever have been used in a movie, not actually about Bruce Banner's Hulk, is of no consequence here because Brave New World instead makes the latest Captain America movie a personal tale with Ross at its heart. Recently elected President of the United States on a message of unity, Ross attempts to build his legacy as the man who reformed the Avengers and who brought peace to a world on the brink of conflict over the emergence of Adamantium in the dead celestial poking out of the Indian Ocean. That quest for peace and collaboration ultimately ends up with Ross turning into Red Hulk, thanks to a fairly complex series of events. And now the dust has settled on his genuinely great dust-up with Anthony Mackie's new Captain America. Let's get into the key question of his origin. What happened? Why is he red? How is this different to the comics? Could he be back in one of the announced future MCU movies? All you have to do is ask. Harrison Ford's Thunderbolt Ross becomes the Red Hulk. Through Gamma Pills, General Ross's last appearance in the MCU came in Black Widow, where it was revealed he'd undergone a second triple bypass after the first saved his life in the run-up to Captain America: Civil War. Despite the surgical intervention, Ross' heart problems persisted, and in Brave New World, he reveals that he was dying before he turns to Samuel Stearns for a medical solution. In the wake of the Incredible Hulk's ending, Ross had scapegoated Stearns as the real mastermind behind the abomination, Tim Roth, and subsequently imprisoned him after the mutation of his brain was discovered. Ross took advantage of Stearns' superpower, genius intellect, and a near-magical perception of probability to use him as a personal strategist. In return, Ross offered Stearns his freedom once he became president. Clearly aware that Ross was manipulating him on a false promise, and keen for Ross' true nature and his evil acts to be made public, the leader added gamma radiation, in the form of thorium, to the miracle pills that kept Ross alive. Gradually increasing the dosage of thorium in the pills, Stearns built up Ross levels slowly until he reached a Hulk-out cocktail in his blood. Stearns then embarked on a campaign designed to enrage Ross enough that he'd transform, despite there being no hint that the leader added any of the variant super soldier serum that was a key part to Bruce Banner's transformation. In essence, Stearns almost kicks off a third world war over the Celestial because he wants to provoke Ross into hulking out as part of his agenda to ruin his legacy. It's a pretty petty move by someone who could have just leaked all of his actions, but where's the theatricality in that? Strangely, in Captain America, Brave New World itself, there's no actual answer to why the leader's treatment of Thunderbolt Ross leads to him turning into a Red Hulk. There is, of course, the symbolism to consider, because Ross is associated with rage, and both the color red and his heat powers could simply be extrapolations of his human characteristics. But the MCU notably changes Ross' origin to remove the death of his daughter from the timeline, and he's not really the rage-filled thorn in the Avengers side he once was. The answer to the color change comes from the comics. Marvel originally made Red Hulk the result of experiments by villainous groups AIM and the Intelligentsia, who transformed Ross in a way I'll come to discuss, because the MCU's changes to that setup are interesting on their own. Because of how Ross was gifted Hulk's stolen powers, using a mixture of cosmic energy and gamma radiation, unlike Banner, who transformed thanks only to the latter, the signature green color associated with gamma radiation was replaced with his red hue.